या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणा वरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा.
From Bammera, 2 kilometers from Palakurti, the birthplace of Somanatha, was Bammera Potana, 1400 to 1475, in striking contrast to Srinatha, erroneously described as his brother-in-law. The translator of the Bhagavata Purana, Potana, lived and died a poor man. He did not indeed have a scholarly education, but his graceful poetry, born of an intense devotion, was inspired. The easy diction, narrative power, and graphic descriptions of his Bhagavata, more elaborately rendered than the original, outclass in popular esteem the renowned translations of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata by other famous poets. His patron Rao Singha desired the dedication of the Bhagavata to him, but in a spirited verse, Potana spurned the royal request in deference to the goddess of learning.
Immanujeswaradhamulakichi Purambulu Vahanambulun Sommulu Konni Putsukoni Sokki Sariramu Basi Kaluche Sammeta Vretulam Badaka Sammati Sri Harikichi Jeppe Ee Bammera Potarajokadu Bhagavatammu Jagadhitambugan.
Tallapaka Annamacharya, 1424 to 1503, named after the village of his birth in the Rajampet Mandal of the Kadapa district, was the earliest composer of Telugu Keerthanas in South India. He had a precocious predilection for both singing and composing. In his 16th year, he left home in Tallapaka without the knowledge of his parents and climbed up the Tirumala hills, which he ecstatically described in many kritis.
Nanda Gopatmaja Namo 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 Kandarpa Janaka Garuda Gamana Nanda Gopatmaja Namo 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 Kandarpa Janaka Garuda Gamana.
He was also a competent poet in Telugu, and even while he was young, composed shatakas on the deities enshrined at Tirumala. After a brief family life, he repaired to Ahobilam for studying philosophy under Shatakopa Swami. Thousands of his compositions were found a few years ago in the temple at Ahobilam, beautifully inscribed on copper plates. The copper plates languished for centuries in the Sankirtana Bhandaram at Tirupati and in Ahobilam and Srirangam. The young Purandaradasa, 1484 to 1564, met Annamacharya at Tirupati and modelled his bhajana paddhati in Kannada on Annamacharya's. Originating from Kondavidu, 13 miles east of Narsaraopet, 45 kilometers from Guntur, and after dwelling for some time in Mooga Chintapalle in Prakasam district, Vemana ripened into a philosopher while he lived in the fortress town of Gandikota, 12 kilometers from Jammala Madugu, 95 kilometers to Kadapa. Then he set forth on his itinerant career of disseminating his philosophy until he was laid to rest at Katarlapalli near Kadiri, 92 kilometers from Anantapur, where his memorial exists. His limpid stanzas, lashing out at the transgressions of society, are at once exhortations to rectitude, delivered in simple maxims laced with humor.
ఆత్మశుద్ధిలేని ఆచారమదియేల భాండశుద్ధిలేని పాకమేల చిత్తశుద్ధిలేని శివపూజయేలరా విశ్వదాభిరామ వినురవేమా.
He was a people's poet. The meridian of Andhra civilization was attained in the epoch of the Hindu emperors of Vijayanagara, the foremost in Asia of those times. The city of Victory rose in 1336 as a formidable bulwark in South India against the advancing armies of Islam, stemming their unrelenting tide for nearly 3 centuries. In its historic role as a defender of Hinduism, Vijayanagara became the last refuge of the traditional polity and culture of India. They promoted in their vast dominions spanning peninsular Deccan from coast to coast ornate temples in their distinctive style of exquisite architectural and sculptural excellence. It was heaven in that dawn to be alive. The heritage of Vijayanagara glows as a prismatic arch in the firmament of Indian history. The art of Vijayanagara marks the apogee of Dravidian temple architecture, its fullness and resplendence. The Hazara Rama temple of the 1,000 Ramas from the numerous bas-reliefs from the Ramayana on its walls borders upon the king's palace enclosure. The shrine, attributed to Devaraya II by its style, faces east. The walls and pillars of the Hazara Rama are replete with excellent bas-reliefs of the legends from the Ramayana and of the incarnations of Vishnu and the romances of Krishna. The north, east and west enclosing walls on the outside display running friezes of elephants, horses and infantry and dancing girls. The pièce de résistance of the Zanana enclosure is the Lotus Mahal, a model of Indo-Saracenic architecture of the finest. Situated to the southeast of the basement of the Queen's Palace is an open pavilion in 2 stories, square on plan, on an ornate base of stone with recessed sides. The largest temple in Vijayanagara, as impressive in its architectonics as a more grandiose Vithala, is the remarkable Pattabhirama temple half a mile to the east of Kamalapuram on the road to Bellary. By its inscription, the shrine was built by Achyutaraya. The temple complex is contained in a large rectangular courtyard. In the center, the east-facing sanctum of the god is a vimana of 3 stories, embellished with miniature square, apsidal and rectangular shrines with axial mantapas, of which the imposing 7-aisled Mahamantapa with variegated composite slender columns is noteworthy for its fine proportions. The huge, 22 feet high, well-finished monolithic statue of Narasimha, standing in a walled enclosure, was hewn expertly by a Brahmana in 1528 in the reign of Krishnadevaraya. Directly north of the statue of Narasimha, on the ground sloping up, is a large, handsome Krishna temple, contemporaneous with the Hazara Rama and the throne platform, with an inscription of Krishnadevaraya in 1513, recording the installation by him of the image of Krishna presently in the Chennai Government Museum, which he had carried from Udayagiri during his campaign against Orissa. Of the temples of Hampi, Vijayanagara, the most hallowed is Virupaksha's or Pampapati's, Lord of Pampa, daughter of Brahma, facing east, set in a panorama of singular beauty on the south bank of the Tungabhadra to the north of the Hemakutam hill. The temple complex is in 2 rectangular courts. A smaller, 3-tiered eastern gopura gives access to the inner court and centered by the sanctum of Virupaksha with its axial lesser shrines and mantapas. Enshrined in the Garbhagriha is the famous linga, the Virupaksha. The acme of the Vijayanagara temple style was reached in the magnificent Vithala. Standing on the southern bank of the Tungabhadra, the sanctuary goes back at least to the time of Devaraya II, 1422 to 1446. The temple is contained in a large rectangular enclosure, 164 meters by 94.5 meters. A colonnade, like a cloister, runs along the inside of the enclosing wall of the courtyard. In its center is the sanctum of the god with its attendant mantapas. In front of the main temple is a car with revolving wheels, all of stone, a masterpiece of the glyptic realization of a monolith. The reign of Krishnadevaraya, 1509 to 1529, was a golden epoch in Telugu literature. An eminent scholar and poet himself, the monarch gave a lasting impetus to Telugu letters. Many great poets, the Ashtadiggajas, adorned his court and set in vogue a new mode of literary composition, prabandhas, marked by originality, variety, freedom, and graceful style. The new movement was headed by Krishnadevaraya's own Amuktamalyada, or Vishnu Chittiyamu. The work achieves a sublime majesty.
Ekkadi rajya vaibhavamulu, ekkadi bhogamuleti sambhramam vakata, budbuda pratimayaina shariramu nammi, mokshapum ganilpakulti.
Krishnadevaraya, an eminent scholar and poet himself. Many great poets, the Ashtadiggajas, adorned his court. Among the Ashtadiggajas, traditionally comprising Allasani Peddana, Nandi Timmana, Ayyalaraju Ramabhadrudu, Madayagari Mallana, Dhurjati, and doubtfully Pingali Surana, Tenali Ramakrishna, and Ramaraja Bhushanudu, Allasani Peddana, 1471 to 1534, on whom Krishnadevaraya conferred the title of Andhra Kavita Pitamaha, stands foremost. His fame rests on the immortal classic Manu Charitramu, fetched from the Markandeya Purana. His delineation of Pravara, the Brahmin, and of Varudhini, the divine courtesan, is a tour de force of poetic imagination.
Apuribaya kundu makaranka seshanka manojnyamurti bhasha parasesha bhogi vividhadhvara nirmala dharma karma diksha paratantrudu Amburuha garbhakulabharanambu Anaratadhyapana tatparundu Pravarakyudalekhya Tanu vilasudai.
Peddana dedicated the work to Krishnadevaraya. He survived his royal patron, unfriended and desolate. He is placed alternatively in Kokatam Agraharam, 8 kilometers from Yerraguntla, 48 kilometers thence to Kadapa, among other endowments of villages bestowed on him by Krishnadevaraya, or Nandavaram, 8 kilometers from Banganapalli in Kurnool district, where Peddana derived his appellation of Nandavarika Brahmana. The second great poet of the court of Krishnadevaraya was Nandi Timmana, circa 1515, the author of Parijata Paharanamu, who came to Vijayanagara in the retinue of the future queen Tirumala Devi. It elaborates in beautiful verse a well-known incident in the life of Sri Krishna. The pretty poem is said to have been written to reconcile Krishnadevaraya to his queen, who he thought had affronted him by sleeping with her legs towards his portrait. The poem cited the divine example of Sri Krishna himself falling at the feet of Satyabhama for appeasing her, only to be spurned by the inconsolable lady with a kick.
Jalajatasana Surapuja bhajanal baitanatsu Latantayudu kanatalri Siramacho vamapadal bunal tolagal droche Latangi Atlayagu Nathul neramul seya పేరలుకల్ చెందిన ఎట్టి కాంతలు ఉచిత వ్యాపారముల్ నేతురే
Such, wrote the poet, was the extent of the liberties permitted between lovers. Of the poet's studied court of Sri Krishnadevaraya, Dhur Jati was among the more celebrated. Yet, like Potana, he shunned royal patronage.
Rajul Mattulu Vari Seva Naraka Prayambu Varichu Ambhojakshi Chaturangayana Turagi Bhushadulu Atmavyatha Bijalbul.
His many-faceted genius issued in a spring of devotional poetry to Shiva. He lived his life to the brim, savoring its pleasures. Yet, in a final act of philosophic renunciation, he turned ascetic and composed melodious shatakas of ecstasy to Kalahastishvara, reflective of contemporary life. Bhattumurti, who came to be known as Ramaraja Bhushana, is best known for his musical poem Vasucharitra, the marriage of Prince Vasu with the Princess Girika from a slender episode in the Mahabharata. The cadence of his verse and the excellent descriptions springing from a fecund imagination have earned the poet high acclaim.
Lalana jana pangavalana vasadanalga Tulana Vika Valgado Prasanga Malasa Nilavilola Dalasa Savanasala Palasadara Sukala Panavishala